Today we are diving into a really powerful poem by Carol Ann Duffy called Originally. It's one of those pieces that gets right to the heart of a huge experience. What happens when you're forced to move as a kid? What does that do to your sense of who you are?
The poem kicks off with this incredible line. We came from our own country. Just think about that phrasing for a second. Not a country, but our own. Right from the get-go, Duffy creates this powerful sense of belonging, of ownership. This place wasn't just where they lived, it was theirs. It was part of them. And that opening line really forces us to ask the big question that hangs over the entire poem. This isn't just about packing boxes and moving to a new house. It's about a much deeper emotional loss. So let's start where she does, with the journey itself.
Okay, first up, the journey. The first stanza just throws us right into the middle of this completely disorienting, kind of traumatic experience of leaving everything you've ever known behind.
So the whole thing starts inside a car or a train, which she calls a red room. And that color, red, it's so potent, isn't it? It just screams with this feeling of suppressed anger, maybe some passion, and this real sense of being trapped. And get this, the vehicle doesn't drive or travel, it fell. What a brilliant word choice. It perfectly captures that feeling of having absolutely zero control, you know? It's like our entire world is just tumbling away from her, and there's nothing she can do about it. And inside this red room, the family is on two completely different planets. You've got the mom singing, trying to be optimistic about this new start, but in the back, the kids are absolutely miserable. And she uses the word bawling. That's not just crying, that's this loud, furious, heartbroken sound.
Oh, and I love this bit of personification. It's not that the car is moving forward. No, it's the miles that are rushing back to the home they just left. It's such a beautiful way to show how desperately the speaker wishes they could just turn around and go back. So while her brothers are making all this noise, our speaker is just silent, stunned. She's staring into the eyes of a blind toy, which is such a powerful symbol, right? The future is blind. She's looking for some kind of answer, but there's nothing there. All she can do is cling to this one small thing for comfort.
All right, so in the second section, Duffy kind of zooms out. She makes this bigger, more universal statement about what it's like to grow up, framing the whole thing as its own kind of journey and a constant struggle with feeling like you don't belong. So, just so we're all on the same page, emigration is when you leave your own country for good to live somewhere else. Pretty straightforward. But Duffy takes this very specific idea and applies it to something we all go through, childhood.
And boom, there it is, the absolute heart of the poem. What she is saying is that we all do this. Growing up is a kind of emigration. We're all moving from a place that's safe and known to somewhere new and unsettling, even if we never physically leave our hometown. It's all about leaving things behind. Duffy then shows us how this emigration of childhood actually happens. She says there are really two kinds of change. You've got the slow, gradual ones, and she uses these long, flowing sentences to describe them, making you feel resigned. And then you have the changes that are sudden and shocking.
And this is just a brilliant way to show that sudden shock. Look at how she writes it. Others are sudden. Your accent wrong. Two short, sharp sentences. Bam, bam. It feels like a punch to the gut, just like that jarring moment when you realize you don't fit in, when something as basic as your voice is suddenly wrong.
And this new world is just a total landscape of alienation. She's surrounded by these unfamiliar, cookie-cutter houses. She sees kids doing things that are just bizarre to her, like big boys eating worms. People are shouting words she literally cannot understand. Everything is screaming at her. You don't belong here.
And remember that optimistic, singing mom from the car? Yeah, that's long gone. Now, her parents' anxiety is like a loose tooth. We've all had one, right? It's that tiny thing that's just there, nagging you. You can't ignore it. It perfectly captures that constant, low-level unease that has settled over the family.
Okay, so the final stanza jumps us forward in time. Now we're looking at the long, complicated, and maybe not so complete process of trying to fit in, and how our identity can change over time.
The stanza starts with this big turning point. The speaker is older now, looking back. And I love this list. You forget or don't recall or change. It's so vague, right? It shows that adapting isn't some big decision you make. It just sort of happens to you. It sneaks up on you.
And we can really see this change in her brothers. Hey, remember those weird kids eating worms from before? Well, guess what her brother is up to now? Swallowing slugs. He's become one of them. He's totally adapted, doing the very things that once seemed so strange. For him, it seems like the transition is complete.
But for our speaker, it's a totally different story. She feels a skelf of shame. Now, skelf is this great Scots word that just means a little splinter of wood. And that's the whole point. Her Scottish roots are still there, under her skin, like a tiny, annoying splinter you just can't quite get out. It proves she hasn't completely let go.
And this image is just wow. I remember my tongue shedding its skin like a snake. So on one level, sure, it means she's transforming, losing her old accent to sound like everyone else. But a snake? That feels a little sneaky, a little deceitful, doesn't it? It suggests she's not totally okay with this change, like maybe she betrayed a part of herself to fit in.
So this all brings us to the poem's conclusion. And spoiler alert, there are no easy answers here. Instead, we're left with the speaker's lasting uncertainty about who she really is.
She asks herself this huge question, listing all the things she feels she's lost. But that little phrase, "do I only think," is so telling. It reveals how alone she still feels. It's like she's wondering, did my family move on? Am I the only one still hung up on this? Is this loss even real, or is it just in my head?
And it all comes down to this one little word. When people ask that simple, everyday question, "Where are you from?" she can't just give a straight answer. She has to ask a question back. Originally? That one word tells you everything about how her identity is fractured, split between where she was and where she is.
And the entire poem ends on this quiet, powerful pause. And I hesitate. And you know what? That hesitation, that is the answer. For her, identity isn't a place on a map or a simple fact. It's an unresolved feeling. It's that hesitation, a lifelong question that might never have a final, certain answer.